This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Park and Rec meeting, 6:01. First order of business will be to review meeting minutes from August 21st. Any changes, corrections, updates? Anyone have anything they wanted to be done on that? No. Got nothing? Anyone online? Nothing? Okay, so I'd like to motion to approve minutes from August 21st.
Motion to approve.
Motion. Okay. I'll second. Second. Okay, thank you. All those in favor in the room?
Aye.
You
I was not here.
abstain?
Abstain. Kira says aye.
Kira's okay, and I think Jishla,
He's not on the call yet.
she's not on the call yet, okay, but we still have enough, so approved. So you have to apologize for a minute, I am also taking meeting minutes tonight, so good luck with you guys, good luck to you guys. So I'd like to start off the meeting, based on, we'll go with public speak, but before we start with public speak, I'd like to kind of set a couple of ground rules. The public speak, I would like to limit the public speak to only non-agenda items, meaning, so I know the skate park's the big agenda item this evening. So is there anyone that has anything they'd like to say outside of something regarding the skate park? Okay, anyone online? Okay, not getting anything online, so, okay, so with that, no one for public speak. Now, second item on the agenda will be the skate park at Millside. And again, I'd like to clarify the format a little bit for this. The format I'd like to do is I'd like to give you guys the opportunity to do the presentation because you have a presentation, you have something to present. I'll let them go through the presentation. Then I'd like to go and allow public questions or comments. And the way we'd like to do that is if you got something you want to ask or something you want to say, please go up to the microphone, tell us your name so we can document it, keep it going. And then after that, we'll go to the committee questions and we'll hopefully close this thing out. So before we get started, one last thing, as a point of reference, I'd just like to add that I think this committee in general agrees with the importance of having a skate park in Easthampton. The question has always been actually where. And I think if tonight we have a very well thought out presentation that these guys and ladies are going to be putting together. So the biggest thing, and I'm not trying not to speak for you guys, though, they're kind of circling the airport right now. They can't really do anything until the location has been decided for that park. That's when they can begin what they need to do to get this thing done. So, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that at the start. So for anyone that hasn't been to any of these meetings, that's kind of what this is all about. So with that, I'll turn over to you guys. Whoever's going to do the presentation.
Eddie Community, Easthampton. So we presented you guys with a packet. It's got a cover letter that outlines the importance of integrating a skate park into Millside Park, along with other improvements in the future. We'd like to add lighting. We'd like to add a new playground. We'd like to add improvements to the bandstand for movie nights. The designers are with us tonight. We have Byron and Tito. They will be going through the skate park design and they'll be able to answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay. Welcome. Who's up first?
Dog, yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, I'm mute.
Okay, bro. Hold on.
Only Tito can unmute himself. I'm not muting him.
Tito, you got to unmute yourself.
Tito.
Hi, Tito.
Sorry, guys. Can everybody see the presentation up on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me see. Chris, do you know why Tito's mic is not muted? or unmuted. I guess let me go ahead and jump in while we're waiting for them to kind of figure that out. Tito's our lead designer at Platform Group, and he's been in this industry for a while, very much seasoned veteran in skate park design. And my name's Byron Hubbard. I'm a landscape architect, also skater. I started skating in the 90s after, had an older brother who inspired me to start skating, and I've loved it and stayed in it. And but I've been a landscape architect for the past 15 years, and licensed in Florida and South Carolina. And part of the design team with Tito, we work alongside each other and really try to think through not only just the skate park design, but the park design in general. And because it's not only skaters or all-wheeled sports using it, it's other people of the community as well that can enjoy it. So
how about now?
Good. Yo,
Yeah.
Tito.
Thank you, Byron. You're such a good team player. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, Byron. Am I at a good pickup point?
Go for it.
Well, man, you sound so much better speaking for me. Hey, everyone. My apologies on that. I had to jump back in. Anyways, like Byron said, I've been skateboarding for a long time, designing and building skate parks for over 24 years. I am in my 50s, and I'm very, very happy to kind of been through the process here and speaking to such engaged community. Very well said, John, about circulating the airport. I'm going to steal that one time, sometime in the future. But anyway, so yeah, without further ado, I just wanted to get right to this concept. I know it's after, I'm sure everyone's been working all day and it's a late meeting, but we've been through this for a few years now, and I know there's a lot of kids that were younger when they came to the meeting, and they're older now, and we'd like to kind of see this come through. I know that back in, I think, '05, you guys did a study with a much larger park in the same area that technically almost didn't fit, but I like the park now. I like all the amenities. We've spoken to all the people that all the event or most of the people that conduct the large events, just to get all their input, and we're very happy to show you pretty much what we got. I mean, we're trying our best to get everyone's concerns and input and develop something cool. But just to start up, we'll let Byron Hubbard, amazing landscape architect and skateboarder as well. And also, just so you know, we got Christopher here from our group taking notes, so make sure we always pay attention to every point that you have so we can incorporate it into the concept. So I'll get to the concept, but first I'll let Byron do some basics on Skate Parks 101.
Awesome. Thanks, Tito. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We're definitely thrilled to be here. And we've been looking forward to having this conversation with you guys and talking about the potential of adding another amenity to the Pleasant Street Mills District, and specifically to Millside Park. And so to begin, I'm going to kind of talk to you guys just what we like to call Skate Parks 101. So skate parks are just as much a social hub as they are a sports facility. And because of this, it's important to consider the amenities and the experience surrounding the skate park facility. So you're not only going to have skate park users there, but you're also going to have chaperones, parental units, non-active friends that aren't using it, but they're all a part of that social community that will utilize the passive areas of the skate park. And so not only so access from all angles and intentional design of the perimeter is just as important as the field of play itself. And so with that, so why a skate park? Because the alternatives are unacceptable, and the alternatives are public roads or private property. Basically, we like to kind of say, if your town doesn't have a skate park, it is the skate park. And so why skate park? So in recent years, we've seen a large growth of action sports. Skateboarding, and other wheel sports are now being recognized on a global athletic stage. And the social and physical benefits have been established through research. So we're starting to see that cities are beginning to understand that and can embrace the value of skate parks and skate spaces. So not only is it the growth, but we're, you're investing in the youth and in the quality of life of your community. And so a skate park is a safe place for individuals and in groups to challenge themselves and to encourage and be encouraged to set and achieve their own goals, all while learning to manage risk along the way. Trying a trick and not landing it, falling down, getting back up. It's just a place where people can build healthy habits, like self-directed exercise, essentially, and it's a creative expression outlet. And it's a place where people learn how to persevere and find the value of persistence. And so they gain and experience accomplishment, and they build confidence from that. So these parks are testaments to a community's commitment to the health and well-being of its citizens. It's a direct example of that. And so it can be very confusing to the kids and youth where they don't have much of an outlet, and they finally find something that speaks to them, and they are mostly discouraged from doing it. And so by not having a skate park, there's risks of not having a skate park. And a skate park is essentially a safe and legal place to ride at. And I think we can all agree that everyone should have access to a safe and appropriate place to perform in the sports that they find pleasure in. But some of those risks would be, danger of riding on the road. There's probably a vast majority of skateboarding injuries that involve motor vehicles. Another risk would be, kids or young athletes verbally and sometimes physically accosted for participating in their passion when it's in a place, that's not sanctioned. And another thing is unnecessary law enforcement interaction and eventually, criminal records for trespassing and skating in non-sanctioned areas. And I think probably the most important is that it's an opportunity for individuals to lose interest in a passion that they keep, that can keep them healthy and connected to friendship. So those are just the risks of not having a skate park. So now that we've talked about the why, it's like, what is a skate park? And a skate park is just essentially a series of different types of terrain that's definitely designated for wheeled and non-motorized equipment. And a skate park essentially falls into two categories. It's either transition or street, or it's a combination of the two. Historically, skateboarding started with transition. And that's what you kind of see on these images on the screen. It's usually, ramps and bowls, half pipes, quarter pipes, things of that nature. You tend to find the level of difficulty is sort of intermediate and kind of goes up from there. And it does span a wide age group. You'll see, skateboarding started with transition, so you tend to see an older generation, but there's still a mix of middle-aged and even younger kids getting inspired to skate in that. Predominantly, what you tend to see, or I guess the largest demographic of skaters, tend to skate street. Street essentially, it resembles the local architecture for sure. It repeats kind of a lot of the elements you see in the urban fabric, which are like stairs, rails, ledges, and embankments. And a good design would definitely play on the sense of place, try to tie into the architecture and maybe the material and the fabric that you see in the urban environment. And it's an opportunity where there's art can get incorporated into it. This middle image here actually shows a city logo that was applied to the flat concrete of a specific design that we worked on. So there's opportunity to incorporate art, not only with in the park, but alongside it. And this is also where you see anyone that's getting into skating and not just skateboarding, but BMX and rollerblade and all that tends to start in this category of street, and then they can be inspired to go to transition or stay within the sort of street realm. And it does tend to be a younger age group, but again, too, you can see, older skaters in this demographic as well. So the types of skate parks, and this just generally boils down to square footage and square footage directly related to the budget. If there's not a big space and you have a small budget, we could, skate dots are a perfect example. And that's just somewhere where you provide a single obstacle. So it could be like a flat bar that you see on the screen here or a ledge. But if there's more area that you can provide, then we can start looking at skate spots, and that starts to incorporate a little bit more elements where it might be a few flat bars and ledges. You can start to see a little bit of transition or embankment in these, but that kind of maxes out at the 4,000 square foot range. And then from there, it actually becomes a skate park, and that's where you see community size skate parks, district size, and regional. And we fall within the community range. We're right around, I think, 10,000 square feet on the current design. And so skate parks frequently ask questions. So who uses the skate park? And historically, it's called a skate park because skateboarding kind of was the predominant demographic, and skate parks started getting built, and it just historically kind of became the norm. But it involves skateboards, BMX, scooters, inline and roller skates, and not listed, but wheelchair motocross is another element. And we believe that a properly designed and constructed skate park, it can be future proof, and it definitely meets all the needs of all those groups. So it's not just one demographic, they're meeting all of those. And so how does the skate park serve the community? Of all those demographics, they naturally form a community and a culture. And we believe that if a properly designed skate park, it can foster and nourish that. Skate parks, again, they encourage youth to develop healthy and active lifestyles, and the communities that form at skate parks, they help the youth build connections, and a sense of ownership forms, and in turn you see self-policing occur at the park, and that definitely a direct benefit to their socio and emotional well-being. And skate parks are a haven of diversity. It's where the youth of all backgrounds, they like gather, connect, and it's all through the common love of the sport. And so what age groups do you usually see? It's definitely all ages, and but it tends to focus on the youth, and generally between the age ranges of 10 to 17, with 14 being the median. Is bigger better? Like, not always the case. It definitely depends on the area, and considering the accessibility of the community, what are their wants and needs and desires, and through understanding that and gathering all that information, listening to the community, you can decide, do you create multiple spots? Do you create the community skate park? Or do your needs and the population that you have, do they fit where you would rather have a regional or district skate park? And so skate park users. So this is kind of a cool graphic. We created this because it's kind of telling of where your money's spent, and it's just very informational. So on the left side, you see legacy sports. So baseball, tennis, basketball. All these sports have their own field, and they essentially hit one demographic of legacy sports. Whereas on the right side, you see the action sports, and a single skate park meets the needs of all these different demographics that you see up here, as well as what we just talked about at age range. So, BMX, skating, inline and roller skates, scooters, and the wheelchair motocross, can all use the same facility. And so it just is, it's a good graphic to just kind of show. So from there, and this will be the last slide that I'll cover, and we'll hand it over to Tito, but it's essentially a summation, but the community and cultural benefits of having a skate park, just like we kind of have written up there, the action sports have proven to be the future of youth interest and activities, and it's an Olympic sport now. BMX was also in the Olympics, and more than anyone, young people need to feel like they are recognized and appreciated by their communities. In too many places, skateboarders and action sport participants, they just get the wrong message from local authorities who limit or outlaw skateboarding and ignore its inherent benefits. And skate parks can be that solution. So every skate park supports hundreds of kids that might otherwise have nowhere else to go. And we strongly believe that, through the leaders and local participants of the community that providing a space, it essentially hits all these items on here. You know, it definitely is a communal hub. It is diverse. It's definitely inclusive. It's your creative expression outlet. For sure, positive youth development. Again, it creates that sense of ownership and self-policing. You know, creates pride in the community. And in disenfranchised sectors, you know, we've seen that it elevates those communities as well. And especially it'll eliminate boredom, graffiti. It eliminates those risks of not having a skate park, what we talked about earlier. And so with Skate Park 101, the most important factor is the local stakeholders. It's the skaters, the BMXers, scooters, inline and roller skaters, wheelchair motocross. All must be involved to make sure that their needs are met and that a quality skate park design is achieved. And so with that, we'll dive into the design, and I'll hand it over to Tito.
Wow, Byron, that was just beautiful. I mean, well said. You know, it really kind of breaks out that, like, it's so worth it on the ROI, and how many, you know, people ultimately it's the other factor of our community. We tend to care for our team sports, but these individual sports, we don't have that much for them. And this skate park really, really, really kind of covers quite a bit. So we all know the location of Millside. Back in 2005, we mentioned that it was covered already. And then it was suggested again. And then a lot of stakeholders outside of the action sports community also had some input. And we've gone about through this twice. And I think we're in a really good place. Now, keep in mind, until we get to the construction documents, there's still going to be some room to adjust and everything. So everything we're saying here is still we're able to kind of like through the CD phase, able to move things around. Go back one real quick, if you don't mind, Byron. So this is the site, as you guys can see. We have the loop and the band shell, the basketball court. And so one of the, few of the things that we talked about was getting access for vehicles for the events, whether they were food trucks or whatnot, or just tent trucks, et cetera, for setting up events. So we took that into account. We had it on one side before, towards away from everything going behind the band shell. And then we were asked to bring it in between the basketball court and whatnot. So we're going to show you all that. The skate park, and now we're going to move on. Without further ado, this is the kind of the new conceptualized skate park. Working around the trees, working around that tank in there. We actually dropped it in the ground a little bit into the ground. There's still environmental study that's going to tell us the feasibility on that move and what we can get away with. But and so that's still to be determined. But starting from the right, you see that kind of like the green access. We put one connection path, but we really want to kind of create, through the design, a lot more circulation paths and everything. And we'll talk about that, sculptures and all kinds of amenities to create a really cool addition to Mills Park. We put a little seat wall there to complement the and the grade difference to complement the basketball court. There's, that's like a pad that you can drive utility trucks or whatnot into the park for setting up the events. So it's actually closer to it. And then behind it, we have the skate park. It's about 10,000 square feet, made a little bit smaller round wall bowl. We took the input of the skate community that we're still going to keep getting input, but for the most part, we really wanted the park to look like an art sculpture in itself, to look cool and to really match the aesthetics of Millside Park in general, and the whole area and the surrounding buildings. So the whole thing fits seamlessly. You have a very, very well-versed skate committee, and they definitely led the design on this and gave us incredible notes that we followed as best as we can, as best as we could. And I think we're pretty happy with what we're doing. I think they are too. Anyway, so let's go and get some perspective views. So this is the bird's eye view. It's got a really cool view from, pretty much access from the bike trail. So that'll be the entrance, Wheel Sports through the Wheel path. You get, this little amenity down there. Um, and it's like when we dropped it down, it really kind of softened the grade. So it wasn't such a big hill as it was in the previous concept, where it was kind of more built above. If we could go on. Here's another example coming in from the trail. When you see it drop down, it actually creates more like a spoon type effect, a little bit more concave. So you kind of have really cool seating around the area, and it really creates like a cool spot to chill. And, whether you're just viewing some skating or checking out, your kids skating, or friends, it really kind of adds to it. And you also get a good line of sight all the way across the park, which to us adds to safety and, just a nice, safe park. Now, this is from the band shell looking up a little bit more on the perspective, but a little bit more on the low bird's eye. The shows the seat wall, and then some little kind of little seat walls kind of dividing the park, just creating that separation, but still maintaining it open. Now, this is a little bit lower perspectives. Might look a little abstract, but as you can tell, it is much, much less of an impact than before. So it actually brings it where it doesn't really go above the original grade like it was before. It fits just perfectly, and nestled right between that ramp. But you still get a good, line of sight. So it's just like it fits so much nicer. You notice that there's still a grade up to slab, so it becomes accessible for whether it's a parent or an event, a parent wanting to reach their kid, or an event where you want to kind of walk behind the ramps. It's not like a big wall. Before you guys had what's called a prefab park. They're very obsolete. People will get bored of them. A lot of people judge the skate parks based on that type of construction, but those are pretty much designed to fail because of the type of construction and the limit on design. They kind of get they get boring basically. We don't work like that. These parks are very accessible and very fun, and our goal is for them to be challenging for 30, 40 years down the line for a kid that's yet to be born. So with the grade up to slab, you can have access. It also helps for adaptive and neurodivergent stakeholders that are skating or utilizing the skate park that might need a chaperone or general just parent access. So we take all that stuff into account. Here's some of the aesthetics inside of the park. Solid block ledges, just to kind of get an identity, and then also just to kind of put like that pride, that sense of like, hey, this is the Millside park. This is a skate park of this is your local skate park, and people know that where it's at. So this is from kind of the edge of the end of the park, looking down towards the amphitheater and the loop. So this is again a cool line of sight all the way through. So even during an event, this could kind of double as little flat area where people can chill. They can get food in a food truck and just kind of hang out around the park. If it's not being in use, it's just a good flexible space as well. So, estimated cost, we mentioned, in your area with prevailing wages, we're estimating $65 to $75 a square foot. Obviously, value engineering could lower these prices, or any additional grants. But 10,000 square foot falls under the perfect municipal community park, which is perfect for that, for your area. It includes the grading, the forming, the steel work, the drains, but it excludes landscape items. If you want to go off with landscaping, that would be above and beyond, but it's highly recommended. We always recommend adding trees and everything to any park. We always try to work around existing trees unless they're a hazard, and we like to always add one or two more than anything that gets taken out. Other opportunities are, secondary entry points, which we highly recommend. A circulation path, which is, always an asset. These things are great. to watch the youth perform. And it's good to walk around, and also safe for a parent to walk around, and also helps the adaptive assets. Shade structures. I mean, how can we're in the East Coast. We know how the summer gets. That rain at 3 o'clock in the summer, you kind of want a spot, right? Picnic tables, benches, trash, etc. Lighting, and obviously, of course, public art. In fact, we have another sculpture that's looking to be relocated. Do we have that in here? Yeah, so the fender bender sculpture to be relocated within the park. We're looking forward to putting that within a safe place in the surrounding areas of the park. It's a little too sharp to put it within this park, but it's definitely an asset that we took inspiration on the color orange into the colors of the park. And so inspiration, I want to show you some other parks that are kind of like similar style. This is the Barnett Park in Orlando, Florida, that I designed, but it's a real simple park. A lot of ledges, real basic stuff. A lot of stuff that's actually championed by the 96% of the skate populations, which is the street skaters. So these are very similar height elements. And then obviously, like, we want to kind of mimic a lot of the colors and a lot of the vibe that you see around Mills Park. So these are the little inspiration board that we take. So, the ledges are, kind of mimic that kind of like gun gray, that dark gun gray, and then like the, the green and the, and then the brick, et cetera, the rocks. Some case studies, show some parks that I've done. I did this park in downtown Miami, Florida. We actually used basalt rebar and reduced 96% of the steel on the park by using basalt-based reinforcement in the city of Miami, a lot of geofoam, things like that, so that we weren't driving like big trucks of steel and and dump trucks throughout downtown Miami, and so we kind of upcycled a lot of stuff and worked with Miami's parking department, and it's one of the most popular skate parks in the U.S. I'm very proud of that, but it's got a lot of those red colors and stuff like that to kind of add that dynamic and that pizzazz and that unique pride that the city of Miami now owns. Another one is one that's ribbon cutting next month, the city of Lafayette. Little bit larger park than what you have, but not much. It still kind of falls right around that, larger size community skate park. It's just got a, much larger bowl. But that's another example. It's got that grade up to slab transition, street elements, etc. And then moving on, one that's currently under construction right now, Hayden, Colorado, which is a steamboat in the Yampa Valley area of Colorado, like almost 8,000 feet up in the air. So that's under construction. So just showing you some examples. And with that, I would say we're opening it for questions. Let's design and build a rad skate park in Easthampton. Hopefully we can we give you enough justification to help us land this plane, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll open up to the public. If you have questions, comments. Again, if you got something, please step up to the microphone, state your name. Nope, I guess we're good.
I'll break the ice. Hi, I'm Dave Dion, Hilltown charter parent. I got a 9-year-old there. Been skating since I was probably 8 years old. I just want to touch base on the location, on how perfect Hillside Park is for the location of the skate park. I've been to the other meetings. They talked about the wastewater treatment plant. I ran by there the other day. It was not pleasant. I've been down to Nonotuck Park, which would be an ideal situation. But again, the park closes at 5, sometimes 6, sometimes, and you don't have that police force going by to police anything. Plus, I heard they just got new funding for pickleball courts that are going to go where the skate park was going to go. The other location was the drainage ditch near the park, just up a little. But I believe they can't fill that in because that's a whole thing with the parking situation and the drainage. So Hillside to me seems like a perfect location. I see the park. It's a great design. I just think of like California, and they have Long Beach where the park is right on the beach. There's hundreds of people watching all the time. And this is the same location. You know, they have Food Truck Friday tomorrow, I believe. I'd love to go down there and have my kid in the skate park while I go over and have a refreshment and a burger or whatever. But just the location is so great. The one other thing I want to touch upon is the design. I was in the group, the original group for Westfield when Westfield got designed. We were too young to understand architecture. So they had architects design the park that were not skaters. And now I believe that park is getting redone. I skated in the Easthampton Park that was in this location in the past. And to be frank, it was a terrible park. It wasn't designed by skaters. This park, this design is designed by skaters, and it'll last forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm a resident of Easthampton. I'm not a skater. Do not know how to skateboard, but I have two kids that do skateboard. My daughter is 10 and my son is 15. My daughter and my son have gone to skateboard camps outside of Easthampton since my son was 8, my daughter since she was 7. My daughter is active in softball, basketball. She loves to ski. She loves to skateboard. I think that this is very exciting that we're still talking about this. I've been attending the meetings for the last few years since the beginning. I just wanted to share about Millside, how great of a location it is. Just this Friday, after school, my daughter also goes to Hilltown. And after school, she went to a session over at the indoor skate park with other students. And that group was created by parents. After that, we walked over to Food Truck Friday and got some food. My son wanted to tag along, who's 15, did not want to stay with us because he wanted to skate. So we hopped on his bike, rode his bike all the way down to Northampton to skate, rode back so I could give him a ride home. And I just thought, geez, wouldn't this be so nice if we could just stay all together here in Easthampton? So thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions? I know we're getting mission statements of support. I think that's pretty clear that there's a lot of support for the park.
I'll be really brief. My name's Nolan Fonda.
Sorry again?
Nolan Fonda. Yeah, I live in Holyoke. Landscape architect as well, skateboarder as well. Working on the Springfield skate park, and I just think that having a park in Easthampton with a park that's going to be built in Springfield, by next summer, it has to be built contractually. It'll just increase what we already have in Western Mass. And what we're trying to build is this network of parks. We have Greenfield that just opened up. We're hoping to get Westfield within the next year or so. So I think it's just what it will do is just really increase the community, the sense of pride to the town, and just increase business to the area. I think it's a great thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
So 4 and 7 years ago, no, I'll be brief. My name's Owen Zara at 74 Florence Road, Easthampton. So wonderful presentation. I think we're definitely on a roll with this design. Full disclosure, I'm also an elected official here in the city. And when I look at projects like this, I have to put on a couple of caps. I have to put on my Easthampton resident cap and my pride for Easthampton, but I also have to put on my municipal official cap. And when I think of projects like this, I think of, well, what space do we have? What amenities do we have? What resources do we have? And also, how is this going to benefit Easthampton? And I think that the folks from Platform Group made it really clear how a skate park is going to really activate our community by creating a local hub for sports that people don't have to be on a team to participate in. Specifically, too, we have the mill, the Pleasant Street Mills, that juxtaposed to the Ferry Street Mills, juxtaposed to Precinct 2. And that creates a huge community hub that's in real need of facilities and amenities and resources to use at a local park. Well, guess what's right there? We have Millside Park. I look out at Millside Park probably once a month when I get my manicure at a local salon there. Actually, it's pictured up on the screen. I don't want to endorse any businesses, but they do a good job. And I used to be a nail biter. I'm not anymore, so I get a manicure once a month. But I digress. I look at Millside Park, and there's great things happening there. I was just volunteering at the River Roads Festival this last weekend. Great use of that space, and thank you to the Parks and Rec for supporting that concert series. But I feel that Millside's really in need of an additional identity, and it's raw material that's waiting to be molded. We have a great band shell. We have basketball courts that are definitely used, but let's face it, they need to be redone, which I totally think we should support. There's a playground there that is kind of questionable exactly who it's for. And I think that what I really appreciate about the recommendations for this project is it's not just, hey, let's put a skate park in and kind of fit a square peg into a round hole. It's let's build a skate park that's going to activate the space that's going to go into. And the design is there not just for skaters or all other wheels, but it's there for people to use all the time. These folks have done an amazing job being patient for 5 years, working together with city stakeholders, making their case. They have clear support, as the chair has said, for the skate park. They have clear support for a skate park in Millside. They have the support of the mill owners, mill businesses, and the community at large. And I really appreciate the hard work that they've done to get us to this point. We've come back to Millside time and time again, and we're here yet again with an amazing design that integrates into it. And not only that, makes recommendations as to how we can continue to upgrade the space that's in. Upgrading the play structure, upgrading the band shell for better multimedia use, including a movie screen that faces forward so more people can watch it. Lighting, as people have mentioned. I think this is a home run for Easthampton. I think that I appreciate that the commission has done its due diligence to look at other locations, but I really think that this makes the most sense in terms of how this integrates into our community, how it fits right next to the bike path, which not only is accessible within town, but from other towns as well as all the activity that's going on behind the mills, which has become increasingly year after year a hub of activity in our community. So we're building this micro community of skaters that's going to expand to meet the community of Easthampton at large and beyond, and I think continue to be an element that will really put Easthampton on the map. So I really appreciate you considering this. I think that the design folks did a great job. I think the skate park community deserves huge accolades because they've held out for so many years and have really been great, good faith actors in all of this. So thank you for having open minds and considering this, and let's hope really soon that we see a skate park in Easthampton. Thank you.
Okay, I have two comments. Again, and I'm not trying to be like, but the original concept for this meeting was, I think everyone here is informed, especially anyone spectating, is in support. This kind of was to ask questions in general about the design, what's going to happen. I do appreciate the comments, but I think 2 to 3 minutes, please, and would be good. Okay, I got 2 people online. Who's next? Salem first. Okay, Salem, go ahead.
Salem's muted.
Salem, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, I wouldn't unmute. Sorry. Can you see me now? Okay, good. I hear what you're saying, and I'll be very brief. And I just want to, add my support to this as well. I don't really have a lot of questions. I looked at the plans. I thought they were great. I just wanted to maybe add a little bit of context. Salem Derby, Westview Terrace, Easthampton. 20 years ago, when I first became a city councilor, I was at Millside Park with Stuart Beckley, our then planner. Millside Park had just been completed, and the plan, as I was walking through, looking at the exercise equipment and some of the playground equipment there, was to build a skate park in the location where it is now being proposed. So I just wanted to just give a little historical perspective that this isn't any sort of like groundbreaking idea to put the skate park there. Like, this was the original plan when Millside Park was built, and it was also part of a promise that was made to the family of the people that dedicated the original skate park, which was kind of a piecemeal, in the parking lot skate park. And the promise was made when that was taken out was that that was going to be replaced. And the plan was to replace it at Millside Park. I think, with what everybody said as far as like the benefit and the location, it just makes so much sense. So I'll leave it there. I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie next.
Connie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Connie.
Great. I'm actually driving home from work, so I apologize. Wanted to be there. My name is Connie Denham, and I live in Precinct 4, also a city councilor. I don't want to repeat anything that was said. I just want to commend the people who put this together, the dedication and persistence of the skate park committee to advocate for this. But one of the things I want to highlight is really what I picked up on was the idea of a sense of belonging and the idea of inclusiveness that this will provide for young people in our community who are neurodivergent or have mobility issues. I think this is an amazing opportunity to create an activity space for people who oftentimes we don't think about or forget about because we think in terms of competitive sport in a way of activity that encourages team sport, etc. And here's an opportunity that creates the chances for young people to participate in activity that is based in relationships of mentorship. And I think that that's really important. The idea that young people individually can support others on a one-on-one basis to either teach them or mentor them. And that opportunity creates relationships. It creates lasting friendships. And I think that that's really important. And the other piece of that sense of belonging is what I heard is the diversity that comes with the skate park and the diverse student group, or not students, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about work, youth groups that can possibly come together, meet each other, and develop an understanding of lived experience that may not be from their own lived experience. And so I want to highlight that this skate park creates an amazing opportunity to build community amongst young people, to build community amongst parents, to help build relationships between parent and child in a way that I don't think we recognize in the other ways that our sports complexes do. It happens. I'm not denying that. I think they're wonderful. I think they're great. And I think that this adds to that. And so this is a value add for me, for this community. And I am in full support of this. And I am just so privileged and proud to have connected with all of you who have been trying to put this together. Hats off to you and your dedication to the young people of Easthampton.
Okay, thank you. One more? Two more?
I think someone took their hand down. I can wait till someone's.
Is there anybody else?
No one else online.
No, just you, my friend.
Hi, Noel McManus, Berkeley Street, owner of the Easthampton Skate Club, the indoor park, and the Eastworks building. I do have a logistical question. I just want to get a few little bullets real quick. I opened the indoor skate park about 10 months ago. During that time, I've had upwards of 500 users. That number has grown even through the summer months when people can actually use other skate parks. And it's also a pay to enter facility, which obviously alienates people right off the bat. I work with roughly 20 youth per week, mainly ages from 7 to 12, I would say. Majority Easthampton residents or close by. Everyone loves it. Everyone has a lot of fun skating and learning, and they progress very quickly. I like to think that I'm getting all of them ready for a public park to use. I feel like those numbers should indicate that there is clear need for a skate park. We've also, just in the last few months, raised $20,000 through community fundraising with a matching state grant. And so that also implies that there's clear support from the community ready to invest in fundraising for a public skate park as well when it comes to that time. A logistical question for Tito actually is, during the construction, you mentioned about drains being built and then other things being additional. But I remember in an early design, you spoke about how there's ways to create drainage underneath the park that actually improves the topsoil and things of that nature. I'm wondering if that is actually like incorporated into the actual design budget currently, or if that would be extra. I know sometimes Millside gets pretty muddy and the grass and stuff like that. So I think when we spoke a few years ago about this, you were saying that the design of the skate park would actually improve the remaining grass and dirt areas around the park and make it more healthy.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for everything you're doing with the community. I know that you've, I know about what you're doing, and it's just super awesome. And you're hitting that target age group too. As far as that's concerned, the way this is now being designed, the next step is to go with GZA and do an environmental study so that we can really assess all those things. We always work with, either civil or environmental, study engineers, environmental engineers to kind of help us kind of do all these things. That's what allows us to work globally or all over the United States. So yeah, those are the certain things that we will discuss with them in order to kind of mitigate certain things, whether it's muddy areas or simply put, like just water quality. Sometimes how you treat the water before it gets to its end spot, something we have to do a lot. And I've done so many parks in Colorado, and they're huge at that, at water quality and whatnot, because it's the desert, and the water's critical. It's worth more than gold. So all we always work with the local engineers, and we are blessed to be working. We're going to be working next with GZA to take the next steps, which all those items will be taken into account, and whatever's doable, we will follow through on. So I know the muddy was an issue, and possible water quality on the outfall going into the into wherever the water goes to. It's also another subject. But anything else is all the things that we'll take into account. That's how we serve you guys.
Thank you, Tito.
You're welcome. Good question, by the way.
Thank you for a question after that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, at this point, I'll open it up to the committee. Anyone have anything they want to ask these gentlemen? Questions?
I guess I have one. What is or would there be any maintenance that would be required with like resurfacing of the skate park after, I don't know, like 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever?
Great question. No, what we do is we provide a maintenance criteria, which we can easily give you guys a copy of, where you look out for any defects such as cracking and whatnot. But we have like when we work with prepping the park, everything from compaction testing, whether done by by underneath the park to make sure it's going to be stable and your investment's solid for the next 4 decades at least. The concrete itself, the resurfacing's typically unnecessary because what we use is a deep penetrating, environmentally friendly sealer. So it actually prevents the acid rain from actually going into the concrete. And what happens usually is it eats up the concrete from below, and then it opens up and it gets rough, like almost like sandpaper. And so if you don't seal it like that, then eventually after like 2-3 decades, you start seeing that type of roughage, and then people have to kind of mitigate that. So as long as as long as you use these types of sealers, and follow the maintenance criteria, then the maintenance instructions, and your investment can last for a long time without having to do such drastic measures. I mean, typically resurfacing means like tearing it up and building it over because it's concrete. So no, it's we provide it, and it's the maintenance is basically very, very minimum. I mean, it's like most of the maintenance in I think Tony Hawk Foundation came up, it's like 0.5 to 2% a year. of construction costs, and that's like mostly on like landscaping and the trash, mowing the lawn, you know what I mean, things like that. As far as like sealing like this, it's all relative. Closer to the ocean, it's a little bit gnarlier. Where you're at, it's not as bad, but you do have freeze thaw, so the caulking and sealing all the saw cut joints and all that stuff, and making sure those are sealed to avoid water, freeze thaw, and expansion. Those are things that we'll provide a detailed maintenance program for, just so that your stuff lasts forever. It's
So,
kind of a set it and forget it. You pay for it once, and then the maintenance is very, very minimal, and it's like few grand to just get it sealed, and we could literally teach Noah how to seal it. And if he wants to partake on it, and see if he gets money.
quick question though. I did hear you said, so can we say roughly, I think I heard 40 years, 30 to 40 years you're saying?
Well, it's funny, back in the day, like they used to put, I'm looking at parks I've been a part of they're easily over 35 years, and they're standing strong and just as good as new. And construction techniques and sealers weren't even as good as where we're at now. So I have a really good, and I've been to Kona, which built in 50 years ago, and it's still kind of standing strong, but it definitely has that roughness, yeah. So I'd say 30 years plus, it's where it's going. So, and I have a very good, there's Silverthorne was built in like 96, you know what I mean? Like, and that's in Colorado, and that gets used so much, and it still skates just as good today as it was when it was built.
And to your point, you have a similar temperature, you have similar weather, typically Colorado, depending on where you're in Colorado. Yeah,
yep.
Snow, you cold. Anyone? Yeah. I'm throwing it. Anyone else?
Just to mention, I did a park in Montauk, and it's like pretty much what you have plus the salt, and that because it's so salty over there, and like that one carries a little bit extra maintenance just because of that salt, but you guys don't have that problem. But we work with local engineers to really kind of set us straight, so we're able to customize our maintenance based on your location. Sorry to interject.
Oh, you're good. Thank you. Go ahead, Carol.
Sorry, one more. What's your average, I guess, from like start to finish of once you get kind of the plans done and everything squared away and testing is done, of like groundbreaking to finished product?
So assuming the design's done, right, and we go through let's get the design done. We usually say 1,000 square foot per week. So it's about a 10-week construction. Weather permitting, obviously there's the hard winter we want to avoid, but we want to avoid also like, hard summer as well. But I'd rather do hard summer there than in Florida.
Thanks. Anything else?
I'll let you guys go first.
Carolyn, I think you had something.
I was just curious about the secondary entrance points that you made a reference to. I was curious if you could expand on that.
Well, just basically, like, we'd like to see if possible, a nice circulation path. So you could, like, whether you're a chaperone or someone, or let's say you have muddy grounds, you can actually freely walk around 360 degrees of the park, and then just at every point that you can engage the park. And if we can create a nice little entrance, as much as budget allows, it's always nice, because like Noah said, it does get a little muddy there sometimes, and then it keeps the park clean, keeps mud out of it, keeps rocks out of it, things like that. It allows that little wheel to roll free. It just keeps it looking good and clean, and it's just nice to walk on a nice little path, especially when you're gonna skate, or if you're a parent that just wants to be with their kid that's just starting to skate and you want to hold his or her hand, or if you're a neurodivergent chaperone that's going there with a kid that might be a little skittish, that might want to be close to him or her at all times, those are all good things. And so we highly recommend investing on the parts outside of the park to just create a nice spot, or you could just be a an older person that's just excited on what youth is doing and just intrigued and just walking around, sitting on a bench and enjoying the youth, having fun and being active.
Anything else, Joe?
Not
You
yet.
good? Not at the moment. Brian, you're up.
Clarifying question. The perimeter of the park, that's all slabbed and grade, right? There was one part of it where it looked like it was a little higher, but I think that's just like the conceptual, like how I was reading it, but
Yeah.
slab and grade is the whole thing.
Yeah, but we kind of sunk it in a little bit to minimize the last time we did this, it was a little bit higher on the quarter pipe. So we're just coming into the ground a little bit. It kind of opens the line of sight. We want to address the line of sight comments from before, and we also wanted to address like just yeah, just kind of like that mound at the end, having a quarter pipe at the end and having this huge mound to get to the, that kind of like obstructed a lot of the views and everything from the band shell and everything. So ultimately it just fits in the ground much better. So it's right now kind of cut in, but that's actually kind of a good thing because it also creates kind of like a berm where you can just kind of sit and watch, so right now it's just conceptual, but all those things will get hashed out during like the construction document phase, when we actually get into the hard details and placing it in. And that obviously involves all the data collection that happens, especially with the environmental study that's yet to occur. That would be us getting ready to land.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Oh, that's
I
right.
don't know. Well, I guess for all of you, and I'm going to make myself very novice at this point. Do you see a lot of, like in the skate parks that you've developed and built, do you see a lot of, and this is where I know the youth sports side of it, I'm going to go with an event maybe, or like I know it's in the Olympics. I can't think of what it would be called. I want to say contest. I know it's not contest, but you know where I'm going with it?
No,
Do you-
yeah. You are right. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
Yeah, no, do you like is that something that you guys would ever see coming there where you could host? I want to say event. Is that an event? Like what would it be? Like,
Yes, yeah. Event is the perfect word. It could be, you have people like Noah that have, his organization will have probably clinics, lessons, or small contests to kind of bring a little sense of pride and hype to these kids. And then sometimes you have different events that are regional. Sometimes there are different events that are national. Part of our agency does events, and so it kind of puts in the limelight for that. So it all depends on, there's also demos. There's a lot of, in Massachusetts, there's not a lot of spots, especially with this type of street course, where a traveling, let's say a traveling tour with some pros can come in, go to a spot, do a signing, and then do a demo at the public park. You know what I mean? So things like that. There's so many other things like, I don't know. There's all kinds of events that you can do, and they're from like sometimes like local to regional to national. And so yeah, this is definitely worthy for events. Chris, do you want to add on to that?
I'm going to elaborate on that, Tito.
Yeah, go ahead. Eddie.
So Theory Skate Shop, they've been this entire summer. They've been doing Wednesdays at Agawam Skate Park where they host a different contest every single week, and they have different sponsors for it. So that's something, that we could totally do here. They have a shop in Northampton, but Northampton Park is very underutilized. Where this park, it's a fresh design. It's going to be a new park. It's, we're kind of here designing it. So it's going to be a fun park and it will draw people here.
Awesome. And I think Chris from our organization would probably jump in.
Yeah, hey, so this is kind of one of the things I specialize in too on the other side of what our firm does. So tomorrow morning, I'm flying to Charleston, South Carolina, while the other half of our firm is going to Birmingham to do an event with Red Bull. So we have a regional series that we do that's all ages, so 8 and under, 9 through 12, 13 and up. and adult divisions as well, even like 30 plus. Like I'm 38 and I still skate these street parks. So it's had a lot of use since, you know, I started skating around like 13. And so it's a lifelong activity. And what we do is with the Border Series, we engage with the municipalities and create an event where we did one in Garland, Texas, and that became, the whole town got involved. It was fire rescue, first responders, food trucks, and the whole town came out and supported it. And we have local vendors that come. It becomes an event, and the whole community gets involved. And I can see that happening at a park like Millside from seeing the design. I mean, I'm from New York myself. I'm from Long Island. I drove all the way up to Lowell to skate the Lynch family skate park that you guys have in Boston. So there's definitely this opportunity for all types of events and activations, as we like to call it.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Committee? Carolyn? Brian? Anything? I think we're good. So I got, before, I just got, the only thing I said, and I talked to Eddie a little bit about this, there is one thing on the presentation, that's really nothing, not for the design guys. Nice job, guys. There is one caveat in the report talking about events. If we were to close the park and we have an event at Millside, the only thing I would want or like to see, and I'm thinking maybe John would like to see it too, is a clear method of how, when, and how we're going to do that, because so everyone's clear how it has to be done, who's doing it, who's responsible. That would be the only comment I would have in general about what's going on here personally. Okay.
And I just
You guys,
yeah.
well, you got it.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I just want to also say thank you for taking the aesthetics kind of into your design. I mean, I like putting new things. I like the idea of putting new things in, but making it seem like it was just there the whole time. So I appreciate that you took that time to really develop your, design and make it look kind of cohesive with the land that's around it.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeff Brick, Westhampton. So one tactic that some spaces use to close skatable obstacles is they just will bring a chain across it. Like there's some skate shops that have half pipes or mini ramps at them, and they'll just have a chain that they can drag across it and padlock it, and then it shuts it down because you can't skate through the chain.
I appreciate it, and I'm not asking for you guys us to come to a decision about how to do it now. I'm just saying in general, if this goes forward, we need to have some kind of plan as to what events, how we're going to do it, because, and I'd like it in writing, because my experience on this board has been people come in very passionate for what they do, and they we'll discuss certain things, and then that group is really good with taking care of those certain things, but the group 3 doors down is asking you, well, why do I have to do this? And I just want to make sure everything's clear in writing. That's all. Again, that's really all I'm asking. Go ahead.
Hey, Easthampton. Tito used the word flex space in his design, and I think, like, kind of to Jeff's point about just putting a chain makes it unskateable. It'd be the same sort of thing of setting up a few tables, things like in that nature within the park itself would really kind of like make a skater be like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else. Also, I'm sure there's going to be some type of community billboard, things like that. Posting ahead of time, communicating the dates definitely will be able to help skateboarders not approach. But yeah, even just inserting yourself into the skate park is going to make a lot of skateboarders be like, no thanks. It's not foolproof, but it'll help.
And again, I know there'll be a process. I just want to make that, again, just get the process part. Anyone else in the committee have anything? Jeff, you want to say something?
Thanks, everybody.
You're out of turn, you're a kid. You know that, right?
Say again?
But I'm going to let you. You're out of turn.
Oh, I thought we were still having.
We just went to the committee part. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm Jeff Bagg at 49 Taft Ave. Just speaking as a resident, but I've been involved in talking to the committee and things. And I did hear one fact come through that I think it's worth everybody clarifying. So I heard, and I think, well, I wanted to clarify, but the number used for maintenance per year was 2.5% of the construction cost, which
0.5 to 0.5
okay. Because I think those numbers are important.
Yes.
And I think what I heard was that for the first several years, the maintenance is pretty low. There could be that caulking and the some spot maintenance that would have to happen, over a period of years of use. But what I heard was that, Millside Park has some kind of maintenance schedule where the staff mows, and so this wouldn't change that. I think we've seen committees and groups, like sometimes leaf blowing or cleaning the park. That could be something that is done by volunteers or people who are there. But that's something that should be discussed, in terms of like how you would close the park, same thing. And then the other one that I know we've heard Tito and his group say is about, cleaning graffiti off of a park like this. And I think the idea is that sealant acts as, and Tito should clarify this, but a way to more easily clean graffiti off of the park. We didn't talk about this, really in depth. It would be an added cost, but most of these parks would come with some kind of security camera, at some location to be able to monitor at least a portion of the park. So I just wanted to point those things out. The other thing that we've talked about as a group is the cost. So the cost is significant, but when you compare it to costs of other improvements that the city is looking at, it is within the range of reasonable. The park grant program, is up to $500,000. And then, I think the approach would be to talk to the CPA committee about fulfilling some of the other costs. And maybe there's ways to break that up into a couple of years worth of requests. But I think the idea would be things like the playground, lighting, and any other improvements to the band show would be used, would be funded by the CPA to show that it's other improvements happening to serve other people. And then one thing that was unclear is kind of the next step. And I don't know that it's ever really been established, kind of the ultimate request. In order to apply for a park grant, it requires that the park commission, acknowledge that they would be accepting this piece of property and accepting the long-term maintenance of it. And so that's ultimately one of the goals here, is to have the park commission feel comfortable with this project, and vote, maybe not tonight, but vote at some point to accept this as a project. And then that allows, the city and the groups to seek the funding. And then that would be when Tito was describing, that would be when the construction documents would get prepared, is once you have the funding for that. So we've mapped out a timeline. I think it was in the cover letter. This is if we act from here out moving forward, it's 3 years from, someone actually rolling around on this park. And so in terms of costs or maintenance, it's not something that happens immediately. So those were just some things I just wanted to cover, because they didn't get covered yet. Thanks.
All right. I think no one from the committee. I think we're good at this point. I think to Jeff's point, one.
No, Kira has her hand.
Who's up?
Kira.
Kira, hi, Kira.
You have to make her.
They already did it. No, she's already co-host. Oh, there she is.
You're muted.
Mute. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation. I don't want to repeat anything that anyone said, but I agree with all of it. And I particularly love the design and the inclusivity of people with differing abilities. I'm a school psychologist during the day, and so we have a lot of conversations and meetings where we actually talk about skating as a way for kids who aren't usually successful in team sports to be more successful in skating or scootering, and they've had a lot of success for that. So I'm excited for this for our community, and particularly those groups. I don't have any questions. I was letting everyone go first since I'm driving in the car with someone and it's noisy, but I have been listening, and any questions I had were answered already. But I feel ready as a commissioner that I would like to make a motion to have Millside be the location for the skate park. And I'd like to allow this group to move forward with the fundraising. Obviously, there are details that need to be ironed out along the way and agreed upon. But as far as getting started, I don't see any other location being as ideal as Millside Park is, for the reasons stated by numerous people tonight.
Okay, my only question would be, as was brought up by Jeff, the maintenance thing, I think needs to be we need to at least take a look at the maintenance thing before we put a vote in, unless there's someone else on the committee that agrees that you're ready to vote right now.
I would be ready. I'd be ready to vote. I do have.
Right.
I'll be ready to vote.
Shishma?
Sorry, yes, I would be ready to vote.
Oh, I guess then do I have a second?
I
for the
will
mo-
second Kira's motion to vote for
All right.
Millside being the location for the skate park to move forward with your designs.
Just read a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I get 5. I'm gonna abstain just based on the maintenance thing, but I'm in agreement that I don't have an issue with the park there. I just think I would like to have the details sorted out. So 5 to abstain.
Can I comment on the maintenance thing? Real quick? And just, I guess, to put it out there to maybe something that you guys could also think. It seems like you have a really big group and obviously a lot of people that are really wanting this. I know for sports, all the boards have to contribute to the cost of the maintenance and or do the maintenance themselves, which I was just doing for one of them. Pickleball went in, they are contributing to theirs. It could be something that would alleviate, obviously, stuff from the park of, it seems it is very minimal is what they're hinting towards with kind of the caulking and all that stuff. And,
Would that be something
so
to be?
it could be something that you could fundraise to kind of help with even just volunteers. So
So one thing about, just to jump in on caulking and the ceiling happens part of the construction. That just comes with the park. I'm just talking years down the line, just minimal maintenance, maintaining that. So I hope I didn't come off wrong on that. And that's just very standard of parks in the Northeast. So just wanted to put that out.
yeah, I
You know,
think standard in general for any kind of concrete or, any kind of nook and cranny that water is going to get in there, it's just going to wreak havoc. And I mean, it kind of would make the most sense to put it on the people that are going to be present there because you're going to see it instantly that, hey, somebody's got to get down here. The other question I do have, just to clarify, the designs that you had, those, I don't remember what you called them, but the seats that kind of went along the side or like the knee wall things that were on the side, those weren't above and beyond, correct?
No, they're included in there, but they kind of complement other sides as well. They're just kind of like seat walls that, complement the basketball court and also creates a certain separation, between the skate park. But it's part of the park. It's just kind of like a little bit away but connected, So we're including that in there.
So that is part of the park design.
That would be part of the cost initially to put it in.
So
Absolutely, we can throw those in there for sure.
okay, so quickly, just to go back to, because since I was the one that kind of abstained, you guys are not akin to getting involved with deciding the maintenance, then it's unanimous, I guess, at this point. And I think we're good. So congratulations. You have a location.
You have a location. Good luck.
Awesome.
You have a location?
Now you have an assignment.
Is it called an event?
Yes, or contest.
This is an event.
Thank you, Tito. Thank you.
All right, guys. So I guess,
Congratulations, guys. Thank you for having us for sure.
and you guys are a great group. I appreciate you. That was a really cool meeting. I love everyone's questions. It's very advanced.
Thank you.
Good job.
See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excuse me, guys, excuse me. We're still got a meeting going on. I appreciate it. Multiple things. No worries. We got other things to do. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Stuart Fall programming. John, you're up.
All right. Baton class. 25 years she's been doing it in Easthampton. It's still one of the most popular program. People can't wait to sign up. They're knocking on the doors, emailing, calling. My child's got to get into baton. So we're super excited that that's still continuing. And we're a part of that. Harvest Fest is the 13th. The usual bonfire, hay rides, inflatables, face painting, balloon clown, vendors, music, crafts, the whole 9 yards. So full on that day. 1 to 5 for the event. At bonfire, I think, is 5:30 on that day. If anybody's around to help volunteering, I'm I have a wedding that night in Connecticut. I will be there in the morning and getting things rolling. And then I have to head out probably around 2 o'clock, so I'm not gonna be around for
Is
the
that
bonfire.
Saturday or Sunday?
That's a Sunday. Yeah,
No rain day.
Now we usually, if we have to, we go to Monday, but we pretty much, if it's, we don't curse us. We've been good. We've never had to use our date.
When is the bonfire?
It's at the same night. It's 5:30. It's right after.
At 5:30.
It's right after.
Okay.
We close up the inflatables, get the kids' games out of there and stuff, and then we do cider and treats in the bonfire, and the families get around it. It's awesome. I'm kind of sad. It's one of my favorite days of the year in the park for sure. Rag Shag will be the 29th. It's a Tuesday. Stepping off at 6:30 like usual. Thank you to police, fire, and all involved that help us out. I've already sent them their letters, and they're more than willing to help out. It is a huge burden on DPW helps out as well, everybody, but it is a burden worth doing. It's a wonderful tradition in the city to have the Rag Shag, so we're excited.
Can you confirm the route, John?
Yeah, we're gonna end high school again. We're staying
So just down
Maple
and
Street
over.
Maple Street and high school again. And I'm looking at some of the sidewalks. I'm still concerned, even like by the pond itself, all those sidewalks are all dipped out. So hopefully they're replaced, but we're still.
May have to walk around the protesters.
They will have to, we'll see. So, all
right.
I think that's it on fall programming. For now, we'll reach out to Williston regarding the family skate next month and lock that in. And then soccer and youth sports has been just crazy down below with parking and everything else, as Desiree can attest to for sure. Anything on fall programming and questions?
Just to follow up to the craziness on the weekends. Desiree and I were talking about when I went over there at about 10 and 9 on a Saturday, and the line was probably halfway between the high school and the light in town. One person at the gate, and not allowing pass holders to go past. I made that mistake because the last time I had been driving there on a weekend, thank you, puppy, was on opening weekend, and they did have the two, so you could have sort of 2 lanes. Is there anything we could do differently, at least for a period of time, based on when things are?
It's more of just like that
Busy.
first out. Like
Yeah.
this weekend, it's the same concept at 9 o'clock. We've got away games coming in. There's 6 home games for travel.
Was this on a Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday?
Saturday.
Between 8:30 and like 9:30 on Saturdays, you can't get in the park and people are late to games.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, they have the pass.
They have
Obviously,
the
if people are
pass.
parked at their house, we can't go by, but
Right.
I'll feel
like
paying
she said,
too.
if
Yeah. Which
Because I
is
saw the
great. I
totals
mean,
this weekend.
as they should,
People
but
are definitely paying.
yeah.
it's seeming like it's the same thing every year that we're running into. And obviously, things are growing in the park,
Yeah.
which is awesome, but it's just creating even more.
Yeah,
of
because
this.
I think we had over 30 people at the pickleball courts too. So that's another team, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe we should put in a new entrance.
Two-way street.
It's a 2-way street. It's
But even if you
people-
have multiple people, like you can do a couple of cars at a time. Like we
Right.
have one person that's doing one car. If you come up with $20, you got to get changed. Here's your ticket.
Right.
you
yeah,
go
trying to
back.
find an
And then
employee
one
to
person
work
does.
that booth is
Always been
the
problematic.
toughest challenge in the world, and having Jeremy there, he's been doing it a long time, but he has certain limitations.
Yeah.
That we have to account for. So
And it's nothing on him.
yeah,
He's
I know.
doing a great
I'm not
job.
sure
I
what the
just-
easy solution. I certainly know I want to get the entrance into the park. I certainly know that, and that
Yeah.
would help alleviate a lot of things. And then going from where we can do a collection and whether we had another lane of just season pass or whatever, and you try to accommodate that. But it's to bring someone in for an hour for an extra employee. It's the logistics are tough on that. Maybe I don't know, look at, try to get it open a little bit earlier, you know?
Security's there at that
Early.
time,
I was gonna
right?
just ask
Security's
about
not there
security.
yet. Now
They're
security's
not
coming
there,
to
right?
noon,
Yeah.
so it's,
There's no other employee doing something else at that time.
They are.
maintenance is there, and they're opening bathrooms and
Right.
cleaning up and
And
making
doing
sure
the ball
pavilions are
fields.
set to go, because especially
When
like
did they
a
start?
Sunday would be a really, prime example of like, they have no time whatsoever for anything maintenance, and everybody else, if you're turning over pavilions from a Saturday night rental, you come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, you gotta turn it over and make sure it's squeaky clean for 8 when they show up, and then open up bathrooms, everything else. It is a tough, and this is not the first year. It's been happening.
it's
been happening.
every Saturday,
It's been
every
happening
year.
every year since I've been
Right,
here.
that's what I'm
It
saying.
seems like this year, certainly, as the numbers attest, has been a busier year, for sure.
Which is good, but we're also gonna start losing people if they can't get in,
Yeah.
especially when it's like strict times and I don't know.
I'm up for any solution for sure.
I mean,
But getting another employee.
What I
is-
would say,
would
what
be
I
we
would
don't
say
get
is have
charged.
one of the, I
But-
would suggest having one of the facilities people shift their hours if they're willing to come in an hour early, so that for that 8:30 to 9:30 period, they can be at the gate.
A
and
maintenance
second
person to do
person.
toll booth, there's no way. They are out straight until noon. I mean, there's just no way. And then if the other thing would bring security in at 8 and then pay them 4 hours, pay them for for 4 hours for basically coming in for an hour. to help out.
I'm envisioning that site, right? And like, even if you had someone going down, you have a pass, go down this lane. They go down this lane and end up cutting this person off.
And
to-
the person, and
Traffic nightmare.
Yeah.
and the
Accident.
house at the end of the street, if there was a lane where you made it 2 lanes and blocked the police would be there. The police have already been there a bunch all spring long.
Yeah.
Because if we move a cone out, the police are calling and say the cone's too far out into my side, I can't back out of my driveway.
Yeah.
Like it is a access road, and for us to take 2 is just the situation. The entrance has to be moved into the park is what has to be
Yeah.
done, and that'll help alleviate a lot. Then we can create our own space and help, because you're developed. We could have our own. We're in park property, and if we have 3 lanes or
That's
whatever,
over here.
it makes it a lot easier.
So question, how about
Getting
this?
it off the street is creating a second lane on the street. We would be ask Sam, like, it's a regular police occurrence if we have anything that's close to where they have to back out of their driveway.
So
An automatic call.
how about if the people came in from the opposite side?
I thought we were going to do that.
That's what you would.
That's what I always wanted to do. I always want people to come from the other side. I want to enter the park on Brian's side and exit the other way.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that idea.
I've
Let's do
always
that.
wanted that, because that way you're coming in by our office, you're coming by maintenance, you're not going towards our office and have to go one way back into the park if you have a question.
GPS for the longest time took you that way.
Mm-hmm.
So what would,
I had to direct everybody to
15
go
years
the
later,
right-
my
the right
GPS
way.
still takes me that way.
that's the question.
And I get yelled at for doing it.
Joshua, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I guess my question then is if it sounds like there's a lot of agreement about moving the entrance to the other side. Like, is this just a matter of making a motion to decide that, or what am I missing here?
It's a one-way city street. That is actually a city street that we cannot, there is a long drawn out process to reverse a one-way. I would be more than happy to start that process for
Yeah,
sure.
can we-
I really
you like
would,
it? Would you
because
like it?
I've
Can we
been,
motion to start that process?
since I got here 15 years ago, my first project that I proposed to Stuart, when they mentioned Stuart's name, was we got to change this entrance. Like, this entrance is the worst. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. You bring people off the stone building, you can be all the way in the park, and you could create lanes. We could shift things around, but at least you're off the main street.
Yeah.
So do we
So-
make a motion at this point to
Yeah.
have you start the process, or can you just start without us, John?
No, I make a motion.
What
to
I'll
start
have to
the
do is,
process.
this is what I'll do. I will reach out to DPW and Greg and talk, like, cause we're also thin at the planning and city engineer department downstairs as well, but I will talk to Greg from DPW first and say, what would we have to do? I think it'd have to be a city council, ordinance to change it, but like, I'll see what, I'll have him give me the paperwork, and then I'll send it out to you guys.
Yeah, I like that idea, but instead of having to potentially wait another month to then vote on it, like, can't we just put a motion now that if you go down that path and you find that there's a way, then you can move forward, because we've already voted.
I'm just gonna go
Yeah,
forward, I'm gonna lay out the.
Put a motion forward for John to look into
but they're gonna-
switching.
I don't think we
the
need a
entrance.
motion though, John.
No, because I'm gonna get all the information out to everybody.
Have him report in on what he gets.
And get it out to everybody. Like, it's not, if you think this is gonna be a 1 month process.
I know it's not gonna be a 1 month process, but if we keep waiting 1 month to put the motion in, like.
No, we don't,
just
you don't,
start
I
over here.
the motions, I don't need a motion to go do my job. I will start with Greg and I will talk and say, what are the parameters? And I'll talk to planning as well. What are the parameters for trying to make that a one way the other way? Where do I start and then I'll lay it out and say, okay, this is where we'd have to go. We'd have to go to city council first. We'd have to make a letter of recommendation. The park commission would like to reverse whatever it is and say, here's the 5 steps, 7 steps or whatever, but here's the first step that we have to do to initiate everything else. So I can definitely, and I got a couple other things that I got to talk to Greg about anyways.
Most of the neighbors would probably be for it, but there are a couple.
There would be a public hearing involved.
Well, you're going to end up with the same exact problem. The problem being the bottleneck to just enter. So you're still gonna end up with people backed up all the way probably to your neighborhood.
No, there won't be.
Unless you-
But
like
you could,
said,
we could add, we could,
Yeah.
once you get in and go one way, it's one way. It's not backing into someone's driveway. We're not creating another lane that's blocking anything.
Yeah.
We're one way going this way. And if we create 2 lanes, they're both one way going into the park.
Utilize the second lane.
Yeah, but you're also, there's fields there, and then you have the fences, so you have a limited spot where you can
Yeah,
create 2 lanes there.
there's some challenges.
Yeah.
I think you still have to bring it, we still have to
If
bring
you
the
bring it
entrance
down-
down into the park no matter what.
Then you run into people, like right now, it's just the ease of like, oh, I'm not paying and I'm leaving, and you just keep going forward and you leave. That's where people might get feisty. If you're
Yeah.
bringing them down the hill, and then it's like, oh, I have to pay $3. Now you're doing a 3-point turn to try and get out of the park. I don't know if that really would occur, but.
No,
Yeah.
usually,
People would do
yeah, or they end up getting in and say they owe us.
that.
Okay.
I hope you.
Yes, but but trust me, I would be glad to move forward on one way, the other way. More than happy.
All right, next, John, is budgets, I believe.
Yeah, so I handed out the park revenues, that we've taken in. Usually I try to wait this to the end of the year, but I wanted to give you where we are currently, but like the pool, obviously the pool is the pool. There might be a few more dollars for pavilion rentals, like corporations, October Mountain, things like that, where they say we want a pavilion and then charge us for vehicles later, charge us for pool later, but I don't think we have many left of that. So I think that pool number is pretty tight. Cemetery will be much higher by the end of the year, unfortunately. Pavilions, those we're still taking pavilions in. This week on Saturday, we're full on pavilions.
It's great.
It's crazy. And then vehicle, after this past weekend, we're at 26.5. So we'll definitely be well over 30 by the end of the year.
So the 119 total is what we would be talking to the city about giving us a cut of? Or is it-
Yeah, so that's the number, that's historic number right there. So as you can see, 2019 was a huge year, but at 119 already, with adding cemetery and vehicle and pavilion and stuff, I'm pretty sure we'll be over that 133 that we did in 2019.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things to note on the pavilion rentals, gazebo, the picnic site is those pavilions are not rented Monday through Friday during camp season. So for 8 weeks, they're not rented. So this is outside of, Saturday, Sunday, all season long. And then this time of year, this is when we get a lot of our Thursday, Friday rentals. Companies and businesses really like coming in. On Friday, they don't have to pay to get into the park, or worry about how long it takes them to get into the park. And then they usually it's generally nice and a little bit quieter here. So I have the revolving account numbers. And what's in parentheses is like anticipated expenses. So when you see 64 in Park League, there's going to be, we blast out of that of our Harvest Fest, Rag Shag expense, things like that comes out of that. Arts in the Park that's what it is as of now. We pay electricity out of that account year round. For Arts in the Park, we do fundraising. So that's how it supports a concert series. We send out letters to businesses. The Police Association donates to it. The Helping Hands Fund here in town donates to that as well. So there's quite a few that donate to that. And then Camp Nonotuck, that's where we're at now. We still have some outstanding expenses from the summer, so that'll be lowered as well. We generally hover between 40 and 50 going into next year to have for just in case we have a down year with folks paying and expenses high and busing and whatever. We like to make sure we have a buffer for that so we can afford to have a year if it's a bad year.
Can I ask a question, John, about the pavilion? So the River Roads Festival.
Yeah.
Is that in here already?
That I put in Arts in the Park.
Okay.
We used to put it in there, but all our expenses come out of our Arts in the Park. All of our expenses out of that. So
okay.
We take that in on that. So that's
I did see they passed along the fee. I don't know if anybody bought a ticket, but
they did pass along the fee.
Yes. So they had their fee, then they had the ticket price, then their fee, and then it said Parks and Rec fee, $1.
Okay. So
and nobody.
We'll see if we see it. We haven't seen anything from them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Better if they're charging the public.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's serious. That's trouble there.
Yeah.
We'll have. Yeah. Well, I just had it, so I'm not too concerned as of this point.
Yeah,
but last year they paid security, I think, in March for the previous year of the outstanding bill. So we do have to do a little bit of chasing on occasion to try to get our money from them. And then donation is for this is we have a donation. If we have a donation account set up for like pickleball, for instance, that is pickleball only. So I don't have that here. I think it's 29 and change or whatever it may be. But they set up their own donation account. This donation account is our donation account from memorial benches. And then we pay for the memorial benches. Then we pay for the concrete and the expenses that come out of the $3,500 fee that they pay. And then we have a little bit left over, whether we use it for flowers, other things that, just general things. But we're trying to have a little bit in there for those types of things, or if there's vandalism or something that happens or whatever. So that's the general run through of revolving accounts. So some years we're a little higher on numbers, like the park account that takes in our field rentals, like wiffle ball, the over 30 baseball, the spring baseball, so all those groups that you see on like Sundays at Booster, or adults on the fields during the week up at Daily or Booster, they pay a fee per game, per usage fee, and that's where that money goes in, and then we spend that out for various activities and stuff throughout the park. So any questions on revenues? Park facility maintenance building update ad hoc committee. So the mayor and Connie put together, city council person Connie put together an ad hoc to Desiree's on it, I'm on it, Lindsay's on it from the mayor's office, Greg from DPW, Connie, right? There's the five of us. So it was put together to put a plan in place for the maintenance building and to almost make it a public plan to make sure, get things out to, there's been some press regarding the maintenance building, so it's to, okay, this is where we're going, this is, this is, what we're trying to do, and this is the timeline. I've met with Lindsay a few times since our last meeting last week. I put an appropriation together for the city council, which won't be on this next city council meeting. The auditor held off on it. So we'll be doing it next time. But I have a cost estimate, a timeline estimate, who's doing the work, when it's getting done, like all that. So they asked me for timelines. I gave them timelines, and the funding's not going to kick in for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So like my timelines are all out. So when we meet again, we'll look at the timelines based on funding. All our timelines are based on funding. We're pretty much ready to go. Everything's in line to get stuff moving on that. So I would when I hear for funding on that, when we'll get onto that. The only thing I might change on this appropriation is I had a price for an office space for them, but then I got another price for office space with a bathroom. So they would have their own maintenance, would have to worry about going into a porta potty or going the bathroom next to Salmon, in the main Park and Rec office. So there might be, I got numbers. I just got late today to look at adjusting that appropriation. It's not much more, but I think it might be money well spent. And the DPW is offered to tie in any connections needed for the maintenance guys to have a bathroom of their own.
This is luxury. compared to
Luxury,
what they
yeah,
had.
yeah, exactly. No vermin. Any questions on the ad hoc committee?
Yeah, I just want to comment on real quick. It was clarified too. I mean, obviously, it was a very open-ended, I'd say,
Yes,
invite
yes.
on what this committee was for. I did clarify that this was in no way kind of trying to push the maintenance building down the road. It was more of responding, like John said, to the
Yeah.
community's reactions to obviously the press and how are we going to address it. And we had talked about in one of our meetings kind of that phased approach to where we see the Parks Department going. And it seemed like it was more of what we chatted about with the phase of like the next steps, what do we need to look at, but it's not halting or altering the timeline. I would kind of made that.
Yeah.
Desiree did a very good job.
Clarified that right away, that this was
She
not
did a
trying
very
to
good
push
job
down
clarifying
the road.
the position.
So, but yeah, it was more of, how are we going to publicly address the community's reaction to the press?
Which I
So,
really I don't have Facebook and I don't read the paper, so I didn't really know. It was news. I knew there was stuff out there, but I didn't understand what was
the
actually
city
was out there.
council has received a lot of.
And I didn't know I don't have Facebook. I don't want anybody to tell me about what's on Facebook or anything. So I didn't know that there was actually a public outcry from
Yeah.
the
I can tell you it
citizens
was
and
sent
things.
to me probably 20 times.
Yeah.
Over. And like,
Yeah.
exclamation, wide eyes, like people didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. So now,
Yeah.
now they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
And
embarrassing.
some of we talked
I
a
mean,
lot
it's
about, yeah,
embarrassing
so
as
a lot of
city.
it was, the communication, obviously, is they had these talks going on, the community didn't know what was going on, so then it posts out into the,
Right.
The news, and they're like, why haven't you done anything? It's like, well, wait, we are.
yeah. So this
Let's catch up
committee
to
is-
what the news just put out.
It's gonna be a positive for sure
Right.
to make sure it's really helping to
Yeah.
kick this thing along
Yeah,
at a
so
good pace.
we made
So
sure that it wasn't gonna alter that, but there is some things I think that will come from the committee that will be. nice.
they're looking at this committee also to set up if there happens again with another facility.
Yeah.
Like, what are the steps? How are we going to address this so it doesn't happen? Like
Not
it
just
happened
park
with the park.
facilities.
Not just
Correct.
park facility, any, whether it's a,
Kind of.
sewer department building, wherever it may be, but there's steps in place and there's a plan in place to design. So it's gonna be, it's gonna work out well, for sure.
Yeah.
New City Steering Committee, we have our first meeting next Wednesday, to look at what was talked about in the past. It coincides with, I have a Kleinfelder meeting, earlier that day on Wednesday. to, address what our timing is and how long the project's gonna take, things like that, which will help answer questions for the new city steering committee. So once again, that's for the playground, spaces, over by Parsons Street School, out back and in front. So we have an event October 26th, Saturday, 10 to 12. That's in the calendar. Please tell me the 26th is correct. I think so. I think it's a Saturday, the 26th. But it's that Saturday, last Saturday in October.
Yep.
We're down at that Parsons Street School and we'll have a press release, big gathering and a lot of stuff for kids and families to do while they're not just there. One of the things we talked about was bringing paper and crayons and stuff for kids and say, draw me a picture of what the perfect park would be for you, things like that. Try to make it interactive for the community and things like that. So that's excited about that. Main Street Improvement Project. We meet pretty much every 3 weeks or so. There's some designs that were discussed last time. Nothing formal because there has to be a review by public safety, like fire department, their apparatuses, what their turn radius is, tractor trailer turn radius is, things like that. There should be something. I think they're looking to try to get something in November for the public. So I'll keep you posted on that as well when information comes in on the Main Street improvement projects. That's all I have for tonight.
John, that's not like a redesign of the Rotary.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, you should see it.
Well, but the actual park inside of it.
No, so one of the things that they're looking to do is try, when you start messing with the park property, you're in a whole different ballgame. You have to go to legislation, it's a big process. So they're trying, the goal is not to touch the footprint of the park.
Okay.
And whether you can add on to space in it, some green space, crosswalks, some safety things, within it, but taking any space away from that to create more of a traffic pattern it's a very extensive process with DOT involved in state legislation. When you're touching park property.
So you're not allowed to change the park footprint.
No, they cannot change the footprint unless I believe that they're not going to touch the footprint based on some of the plans that they're throwing around and just the general of plus the cost. I mean, you take a project and you start tweaking and you get DOT involved in taking park property and stuff, and adds quite a bit for lawyer fees and other things. So it's one thing on old and continuing business, so the pickleball CPA application was done back in July. Carolyn is a signer on this. If I can't attend a CPA meeting, it looks like CPA might start coming back into the fold on October for meetings.
I haven't seen anything yet.
I haven't seen anything. I have a meeting on Monday, but it looks like, so hopefully we can get in on October and with a December or January approval, because they have a 2 meeting in city council. So there's, we're hoping for the October meeting for
The date of if you were going to guess, only because
it's the third Thursday in October.
It's always the third Thursday.
It's always the third Thursday of the month.
17th.
Yes.
So a question about, I'm just gonna write it on my
Just
calendar.
put it,
just write
put
in for now.
a placeholder on it, just in case.
And it's at 6 o'clock or?
They're usually 6 o'clock, yeah.
6:30.
6:30?
6:30. 6:30. Downstairs. It's in the regular.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this feels a little official.
I hope this is the last one up here for a while.
Else?
Are you on the old and continuing?
Yes, we are. What do you got, sister?
Okay. Again, not to kind of beat this into the ground. with pickleball coming in there, obviously, and again, I know you guys have been doing the paths or drive through the park to see kind of the traffic, which is awesome, so that you can understand the frustration that the community is feeling. I know the thought process is doing that parking in between on the island. Is there any way with the headache that we just had of people parking just wherever they feel like parking? I know we're not gonna be able to put the gravel and all the stuff that down the line we're thinking, but is there any way just to remove the curbs that are there so that people can kind of start what like they did on the grass by the pickleballs of like you kind of make your own parking lot? Is there a way to move the curb so that we can park in between there to
I can
alleviate?
certainly
people going
ask,
all over?
I can certainly ask
I know you guys have a
maintenance
lot, but
and I can, and say.
if they're mad, they can just kind of like.
Well, no, I just like, I don't think that, I don't want to speak.
Yeah.
For my maintenance, but I'm not sure if there would be a concern with them or not. Like
Yeah, I know, like,
As long
when we
as
were
there's-
down there the other day, somebody kind of just jumped the curb anyways and just parked on the side because they had a truck. But I was just thinking that if we just remove the curb so that you can gain access to the grass, that will be a parking lot anyways. So that people, I mean, you could fit another maybe 50 cars.
Yeah, I figured 40. is
Lined,
what I
yeah,
figured.
40, like
Yeah,
lined
40,
nice.
right.
I mean, again, we're hoping that people will park efficiently.
Yeah.
Which is why we had to line the fields or line them. So, but it could be at least opening up an area so that people aren't
Yeah,
just
I'm
driving
okay with it
wherever they
because
want.
I
It's kind of
feel your
guiding that
pain. I feel my
park, yeah.
security's pain. I feel everybody's pain when it comes down to parking down there.
Yeah.
That's why I stay within that area on Saturdays.
So that was my only thought, like, because when I went by, actually, when I left the meeting here, that meeting, I went and I was like, well, I guess I'll park at baseball to walk all the way through to get to soccer because there was no parking anywhere, not even along the entire side. It was like the perfect storm of, I think everything was down there, including 3 buses for some reason, but really need to tell them to come out. But yeah, that was the only thing that, like I said,
Why the
even
buses
if,
don't park way out back.
the other day we went down, it was a, cross country and there was 3 buses. Like one was just parked kind of diagonal, which there was no high school soccer, so it was fine. It wasn't as many people, but like they took up 6 spots. Another one's just like parked on the side and we're like, come.
Yeah, that's a
Can you
cross
go park
country.
at
That's a
baseball?
cross country
Like-
meet that we weren't informed of.
You know, actually, as we talk about that, are we doing ourselves a disservice to not have security come in until noon on a Saturday and a Sun? I don't know
If it's the
as
busiest
busy-
time.
If that's the busiest time. I mean, I called the police
Yeah.
because they were parking illegally and I was concerned about access to the fields if there was a
Yeah, and that,
safety.
and
Because I mean, there's hundreds.
it's
of-
gonna be, the security's gonna call the police. Like it's not gonna be anything more than the same phone call that you guys would make.
But there's still a lot of people in the park and for there not to
be
be
security present.
security there at that time.
Especially
you know,
if, I mean, I
kill
get, yes,
two
we have to
birds with
call
one
the
stone.
police, but
Yeah, I'll definitely budget for it next year and, you know, if security wants to come in and do it at 8, that's fine with me.
Well,
As long as
they
I can
come
pay for
in-
it, doesn't matter to
They
me.
can come in at 8, they can help get
Yeah.
the cars in from 8 to 9:30. And then they
Not the
can-
current way we have though, because we'd be.
Well,
we'd be
yeah, we'll be the
Obstructing
other
a driveway.
Well, they still could help though, like,
Well, you
I'm
could
telling
still-
you,
yeah,
they,
multiple
you
people
sit,
down.
it's like, it's literally at least 3 or 4 minutes for every car. 3 or 4 minutes, and then you have 75 cars in the line. You know, so if 2 people, he's collecting money from this car and you're leapfrogging, then it's half as much time.
Do you want to?
Sounds like she wants to
volunteer for the toll booth? That's wonderful.
I have to go into the park at 8 a.m. to make sure that I'm on time for my 9 o'clock game, which is,
Yeah.
and now we have to reach out to other towns to say, hey, FYI, we have a bottleneck trying to get into the park that you now have to pay to play your game at. And it's.
They most get,
it's no
don't they
fun.
usually get there for 8:15, 8:30 anyways?
Or you just tell them to park on Broad and walk in, because that's what pickleball started doing. 'Cause the
And those
parking is
parents,
crazy
they're
too.
not
I
happy.
know, they're not happy.
But yeah, that was just a thought to deal with this headache
Yeah,
of
I
the
will-
parking was, if
yeah.
we remove the curbs,
Yep.
it would let my
I'm
car be able to
okay.
jump over it.
I'm certainly okay with it. Anything because that area is.
And then it
It's
kind
gonna
of
be
buys
parking
you guys,
eventually
yeah,
anyways.
it's gonna be parking, because then, I mean, that was one of the concerns of, we call the police and they come down and the police are like, well, where are they not supposed to park? Because people are just everywhere.
Everywhere.
So if we kind of, at least the number that I've seen down there, if you open up that, it would probably alleviate a lot of the headache of people parking wherever they want, because all those 15 or 20 cars would be put in that area. And now you have everything open, plus we're gonna be grabbing
Yeah,
those bars from you.
Stealing some
I'll paint the
rails.
maroon, it'll be nice.
Paint the maroon, okay. Might want to leave yellow. All right, is there
That was all.
anything?
And then I'll stop eventually talking about parking in the front.
I know, I trust me. I feel your pain. I really do.
The age-old
Yeah.
nemesis. Anything else? You guys, anything else?
Nope.
We'd like
Anything
to-
from Kira and Joshua?
Before you guys go, just one thing, we'd like to thank the DPW for painting some lines.
Yes, it was DPW that
Yes.
came in and took care of that
Oh,
soccer.
nice. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They were right away too.
I owe them donuts because they did some other stuff for us too. They're always helping us out. So I usually try to send donuts over at least once.
What does the park crew cut down in staff?
The second week of December. Well, we lose George, we lose Ted, but Jeff works till the middle of December. Jerry in cemetery works, Christian works till the middle of December.
When do you have full staff until when?
So we go usually St. Patty's Day to like 10 days before Christmas.
Full staff, even George and?
Well, now George bags out, usually like mid-October when he's done. Cause he can only work so many hours retirement wise anyways.
Right.
So he's got to worry about that threshold, but he also is just like.
I just want to do
something
something for them, so I want the full staff. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, the staff luncheon was wonderful that year. I told him don't look forward to it. I gave him a staff lunch. I cooked him burgers and dogs.
Nice. All right, anything else? Joshua, Carrie, you got anything?
Nothing for me.
Yeah, well.
Okay, one quick thing I will throw out just based on last meeting, just for anyone, I know John sent an email. The proposed dog park has been taped off. So anyone that wants to go see what it looks like, you can either make an appointment. I'm sure John would be happy to show you. I mean, we did, Joshua, myself and JT were there to kind of see what it looked like. But
I
if
think
you
it's
want,
already off the table. But
it may not, okay, but I just so in case you want to be informed to understand, because if someone asks you a question, you meet somebody from the dog park. they wanna
Yeah,
know
I'll still show people.
Anyone
Tell me
interested?
more about off the table, because if it's.
They're looking at other options in the park.
Oh,
Part of the
Okay.
discussion was other options, which
Yeah,
is nice.
they're moving to other options.
Okay.
So they're.
Right,
I met with Bill
They were
yesterday.
choosing not to go there.
It doesn't, I don't want to speak for the
Oh,
dog
yeah,
park,
sorry.
but
You
Bill,
can't, yeah.
that's why I said I don't want to speak out of turn.
Don't even try to speak
Bill-
for the dog
Bill,
park.
yeah, they're looking at other options
Okay.
within the park.
Okay.
Okay.
I did we went down there after practice. They had kind of the markings. I thought it was gonna be more taped out. Obviously, if we went with you, it might have been easier to understand, like, where exactly did they want the entrance, so like some of them, I'm like, oh, I think there's one here, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I could picture what this is gonna
Well,
look like, so I thought it would be more of
I
a,
walked through the whole thing through the woods, cobwebs in my face and
Yep.
every other second. And I was like, wait, where's the other ribbon? Where am I connecting? But I got the sense.
yeah, I got the gist of it, but it would have been, I thought it was gonna be more of like a field trip where we were actually gonna go down and be able
See
to
it.
see and him
That
show
would have to be,
everybody, not
actually, if
just.
we all went, that would have to be considered, we'd have to schedule that.
I'd
meeting.
schedule a
Right.
meeting, 'cause
That's-
that way
yeah, I
there's
thought
a
it was,
discussion, open
yeah.
discussion and votes,
Yeah.
it just, it makes my life easier to make sure if we're all there together. I'd rather just have an open meeting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so you know, he did actually, for clarification, he did actually rotate
He flipped
the
it, right, yeah.
design. He flipped it.
That's what I
in
yeah.
case he was, but again, if you want to see it, John knows where all the flags
Yeah,
are.
and,
Take a walk
and
through,
like I said, I gave everybody Bill's
take a look.
email.
Yeah,
Any
I
questions.
appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank you.
he did a good job.
Bill's been great.
Okay, I guess with that, I'd like to look at scheduling the next meeting unless anyone else has anything else. I got October 9th. I believe that is the second Wednesday.
We're just do the third one.
Yeah, but weren't we
Yeah,
talking
we're
about getting away from
changing it
Wednesday?
for our friends on city
Yeah,
council.
I'd like to try and get away from Wednesday if we can. Especially for.
October's crazy, so.
Do you want to do Thursday, the 10th? Tough one.
I need to do that.
I can always join remote if we are doing it remote, but I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
if we switch off on Wednesday, I'll probably be checking it remotely.
I'm in
Okay, that's fine. I think
Delaware, Florida.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
DC.
So I think from here out, the general feeling of the public and I think in general, the commission is that we do remote, we probably do the meetings here. So unless I'm completely
Yes,
getting
I would.
We wouldn't
I
do
would
them in
appreciate
here, we could go back
downstairs?
downstairs.
We go back downstairs.
I have a hybrid option.
If we have a hybrid
The
option.
hybrid option.
Absolutely.
Please.
It's everything in my power to be here.
I appreciate it. If you can't, you can't. If you call in, you call in. It's great. I mean, that's the nice thing about having remote meetings, right?
Right.
Yep.
So are we good for, what am I here? 9th, 10th?
You wanted to try a Thursday?
Thursday better?
That's right.
I mean, I would rather stay away from Wednesdays if it's gonna coincide with council. I mean, obviously some of the stuff that, I mean, unless, obviously if the next one's nothing, then it wouldn't matter.
So, well, look, that's why we're
Council's
doing the
the
second, because the
third.
council's the first and third.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's why we were,
I thought they had something else.
that's why we're looking for the
Oh,
first.
then yeah, the second's fine.
So
Okay.
Wednesday's better for you in general?
Wednesday.
Yeah, why don't we do
Wednesdays
Wednesday?
are always, yeah, definitely.
Hiram, Joshua, you hear that? We're looking at October 9th, Wednesday. Is that okay with you guys?
That should work for me.
Okay,
6 o'clock?
I probably can't do
Wednesday. Yeah, that's my
tonight.
son's
Could
birthday.
you do the 23rd?
I'm traveling then on the 23rd.
Like I said, we're gonna do hybrid, right?
Can you still call in?
Wait, skipping till the 23rd from the, oh, I see.
Because we can't go to, we
16th.
can't.
I don't think there's gonna be anything from the dog park folks for at least 3 or 4 weeks away. They're gonna need some time. Joan's away and Bill told me that it's gonna take some time to put the next run together.
Proposal together?
23rd
then-
is okay with me, sorry.
23rd is?
Yeah.
You okay?
Can we bump it to
How about the
23rd?
23rd?
Thursday's fine. Yeah, and if I'm hybrid, but.
Okay.
I
We're
wouldn't mind
looking
it
at-
because then I can have
You
dinner with
have
my
enough
son.
people, but 23rd I'll hopefully be in London.
Oh, good
Oh,
for you.
can I come?
Maybe we should.
Kara, you
just
okay
plan
with the
that.
23rd?
You take 23rd works for me.
Joshua?
The 23rd should work for me.
All right, so why don't we
Sounds
set
great.
the 23rd?
I'll let you know.
I'll be
At that point,
jealous.
I'll be somewhere.
23rd
You
is-
shouldn't come if you're
I'll
in
be
London.
somewhere.
It'll be midnight, it'll be midnight in there, you don't wanna.
Yeah.
That could be entertaining.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we'll see.
right.
It's supposed to be going down for the,
Can I get since we're all set for that, can I get a motion?
Yes.
Motion.
Second.
Carolyn, okay. For once, I'm gonna do the all in favor, because I remembered, I spit for me once, shame on me. All right, all in favor?
hi.
All right.
Joshua? Kara?
Yep, good night, everyone.
We're good, all right.
Hi, everyone.
Good night.
Adjourned 8:02.
Thanks, John.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.